subsidy is gone.
The removal of the petroleum subsidy in May 2023 contributed to impact activities all through 2024, reshaping the oil and gas industry. This policy sparked market reforms leading to price deregulation designed to attract private investment in refining and distribution. The reform also caused a significant surge in domestic petrol prices. President Bola Tinubu's administration introduced relief measures including cash transfers and investments in public transportation while advancing the gas sector expansion program. In 2024, the government prioritized natural gas as a transition fuel in its energy value chain. Initiatives such as the Presidential Compressed Natural Gas Initiative and supportive infrastructure projects aimed at boosting both domestic utilization and export opportunities.
The CNG is good, it's working, it's even helping car engine. Because before, when I run like 2,000 kilometers, if you check your oil will be dark. But with CNG, you run like 2,000 kilometers. If you check your oil, it will still be fresh. So the CNG is good. It's even helping engine.
It's cheap, and if you look at the emission, it's good to the society, to the atmosphere and environment. So it's better off to use gas. The price is cheap, and at the same time, it saves your car engine. Mine is 65 kg, which is the cylinder, which is like 15 SCM. So if I'm buying that, which is like 3.7, so it can take me distance close to 140 kilometers. So you know what 140 kilometers is like if you are compared to fuel. So I don't know if you are estimating fuel. So fuel might be like, I don't know, it might cost you like 15,000 for that.
In a major breakthrough, the Dangote Refinery, Africa's largest single-train refinery, began operations in 2024. With a capacity to process up to 650,000 barrels of crude oil daily, it is poised to drastically reduce Nigerian reliance on petrol imports. In December 2024, the refinery achieved a milestone by exporting its first batch of petrol to Cameroon, signaling a new era of regional energy integration and price stability. In November 2024, Nigeria's oil and gas production rose to an estimated 1.8 million barrels per day. This increase was partly due to enhanced security measures that curbed oil theft and pipeline vandalism. In a historic development, the old Port Harcourt Refinery resumed operations for the first time in many years, dispelling doubts about NNPC's capacity to refine its crude domestically with the government-owned refineries. This came with lots of doubts and speculations that has been proven wrong by the state oil company.
Now you are doing 1.8 million barrels inclusive of condensate. And I've always said that, look, Nigeria has capacity, and whatever Nigeria does benefit the entire African continent. During the COVID, we did 2.5 million barrels. With no additional, investment, we did that. I believe that that is possible.
To ensure we have not just full recovery of production, but also to escalate our current production to levels that is expected and demanded that we have. But from Mr. President and Honorable Minister and the Board of Directors, that we must increase our production to levels that, in the short term and in the long term, levels that is acceptable to our shareholders as a company.
We are able to crush the obstacle that were standing between us and achieving our mandate. One of the key obstacles is restoration of security architecture. We are able to block and bring into operation some of our shutdown pipeline. That enabled us to open up our wells, and we're able to take that production into the market.
According to the NNPC Limited, the rehabilitation of the new Port Harcourt Refinery with a projected capacity of 150 barrels per day has now advanced to 90%.
They are up to over 90% completed, and we will deal with that as soon as possible. And we are following up through and ensure that we get value, and then we have a combined 60,000 with 150,000 barrels per day.
Nigeria's oil and gas sector demonstrated resilience and adaptability amidst significant reforms and milestones.
The first subsidy is gone.
The removal of the petroleum.
Joining me for more discussions is the Managing Director of Raven Energy, Dare Osamo. He joins us from Lagos. Good to have you join us.
Good evening. Happy New Year. Thanks for having me.
Happy New Year to you too. So many defining moments in the oil and gas industry this year. Oh, sorry, 2024. This is a new year. What stood out for you?
For me, what stood out for me, especially in the downstream sector of the economy, is the commencement of Dangote Refinery, the production in Dangote Refinery, and then, of course, the coming on board of the Harcourt Refinery and lately the Warri Refinery. Those three, to me, they stood out of many things that happened from last year. And on the, of course, on the upstream sector, you saw some divestment and increased participation by local companies in taking over the assets of some company. The Wando deal with Egypt, the Sepla deal with Shell, Nigerian Limited. Those are on the upstream sector, of course, stood out for me, aside of that or policy issues that are equally important during the course of the year.
And I mean, we're talking about the lifeblood of our economy, which is the oil and gas sector. And for years, it was shrouded in layers of uncertainty, whether it was the infrastructure issues or the issues around oil theft and vandalism. From where we are now, this particular standpoint, have we succeeded in re-energizing the oil sector?
Oh, fair enough. I think 2024 itself is like a precursor of good things for Nigeria oil and gas industry. A lot of development that Nigeria is beginning to harvest the benefit, will begin to crystallize from 2025 going forward. For example, there is increased security in the Niger Delta region, leading to increase in production. That can only increase the national economy and by extension, of course, the overall production in that corridor. Of course, you can only look at the price discovery in the downstream, whereby, of course, the issue of the regulation, even though it has been removed, is now fully operational. The savings from there will impact the economy positively. So I believe many things that happened last year are just a binger for bigger and better things that is going to happen to Nigeria if it can be maintained and sustained.
And what are your projections for the new year? The Kaduna Refinery is still there. The Warri Refinery is operating at 65% capacity. What are your projections?
Of course, it's a good sign for me. I believe the government of the day, the incumbent seems to be very determined, and the political will to pursue these reforms seems to be elevated. It is expected that bearing any unforeseen circumstances, they will maintain this trajectory, and you cannot begin to refine from three refineries, i.e. the Harcourt Refinery, the Warri Refinery, and if by chance the Kaduna Refinery comes on board. That itself will eliminate almost dependence on importation of refined product to the economy. You know the implication on dollar and by extension the naira appreciation and the economy at large. So for me, I believe if the policy that was started last year will be sustained this year, we are in for a good time. It's not going to be magic, but then we're beginning to see incremental growth in the national economy.
What about gas? Because we spend much time talking about the oil sector, but what about gas? The president has always mentioned that, look, he wants to shift the attention away from gas, away from oil, which is always the focus, to gas, where we have even more reserves. What should we do this year in terms of focusing on gas?
Of course, thank you very much. If you observe closely, you will discover that there was an elevated attention to the gas sector of the economy. Of course, obviously the CNG initiative was kick-started. The policy thrust now is for people to rely on other sources of energy other than the PMS and the AGO. That will increase the domestic usage. And then there are equally some investment. A few trains may have to come on board this year as per LNG production. hopefully the investment in that corridor will be sustained. The reality is the more attention paid to the gas sector of the economy is more beneficial to Nigeria as a nation. So the government seems to be well determined to maintain to allocate resources, that's number one, and to equally maintain attention in the gas sector. With the local consumption increasing, the CNG awareness, Nigeria Automobile, the NNADC, driven the CNG initiative, it can only get better. We expect that the policy trust will not be slowed down by personal sentiments and unpopular opinion. Hopefully, we're beginning to see increment in the gas sector of the Nigerian economy. And I believe there are a couple of investments that have been targeted towards that sector, which can only increase the national production of gas in the near future.
Well, you are quite optimistic. We'll see how things play out in 2025. Thank you so much for your time. Managing Director of Raven Energy, Darius Amo.
Thank you for having me. I'm very optimistic. Thank you. Happy New Year once again.